All right, how's it going, everyone? Hopefully, you're having a good Tuesday, afternoon. You had a good Labor Day, enjoyed some time with your friends and family, whatever makes you happy. Today, it's been pretty requested by pretty much everyone. We've had a lot of requests for it. So here it is. This is what this video is going to be about. It's going to be a full tutorial on how to use AggroCap V1, the 3 hour with the 5 minute, your V2 1 minute scalper, and then your wick catcher. All right, so this is a pretty self-explanatory indicator. But just like any indicator, before we get started, guys, taking profit is up to you. All right, but that's why we teach technical analysis to help give you some tools, to try to find the best places to take profit. So, because as you know, I am not a percentage trader. I don't wait for, oh, I have to have 5% gains to sell here, or I have to, you know what I mean? This thing is graded entries, but it is ultimately up to you to take profit. That's why we talk about, you got to curb the FOMO and control the greed. So with the AggroCap indicators, it has pretty much something for everyone. If you don't have time to trade, you don't have to sit, you don't have time to sit here and watch the charts move all day. You can actually set an indicator, an alert. So you can go up to these red lines. You can right click it with your mouse. You'll go to add alert. And so you'll go over here to clarify. You want to make sure you're on your AggroCap algo. And you can see you have a list full of options to choose from. But generally what you're going to do is you want to pick the long or short. You can set how you want to be notified. These are pretty self-explanatory with the alerts. Whatever, you can type your message down here, if you're using the scalper, you could be like, scalp long if you're on the 5 minute. Or, if it's the 3 hour, you could put, long position, whatever you want to put. It doesn't really matter. But the key thing is here, guys, is you can set alerts. So even if you have stuff to do, you're a computer programmer, you have time to look at your phone, but you can't sit and watch the computer all day, you can set an alert. It'll let you know. You can go to your email, it can let your phone, whatever service you have hooked up through TradingView, it should work. Now, for the people that don't have time to sit here and scalp $50 to $80, price movements, I highly recommend the 3 hour. It's extremely accurate. So we're gonna go out through here. We're gonna go through time here, and we're gonna talk about it. So these green lines are not meant to be as treated as support. Now, granted, you can bounce off them sometimes. I'm not sure if we can actually find an example where we've actually bounced off of it. You can see through here we bounced off of it and kept moving up. So what these lines basically are is they're your confirmation lines. So if you're using the 3 hour, for this to confirm, it would need to be above the red line for 3 hours, and then you would shoot, you would get your confirmation to enter. So if we look here, this is our 3 hour. This is for long moves. So like anything above $400. So if we go through here, we'll just zoom out. We're on your 3 hour. And you can see just how accurate these calls are. This is not a lagging indicator. We go pretty in depth for how it's used. So usually when you start breaking above this red line, you will shoot the arrow. But you want to wait until you actually pop the color out for a confirmation. So let's use this as an example. Let's go in the middle of June. So on this call right here, you had your red line. You previously popped a short here. You popped it at roughly 8,700. Now, just because the arrow is pointing at does not mean to just go ahead and short. You want to basically wait for us to confirm under the green line. So you popped your short at about 8,700, but you didn't actually confirm until about 8,000. Hold what was it about 8,350, 8,004. You ultimately went from that number all the way down to about 7,500. So then you popped up. You can see here we used our support line. This is the 75. This would be your 7.5 would be your 618. This is the 7,500 support we've been talking about. This is where I actually bought Market Cipher. So for the people asking, well, how do I know when do I cover? When do I take profit? It's why we learn about forming support and resistances. You can see here you popped your, this wasn't necessary. This is your 0.5. So this green line, it's really irrelevant. When we were at this point, in our price action movement. So disregard this green line. So you popped short at 8.6. You didn't really confirm until about 8,350, 8,004. You came back up, you touched the red line, and then you rejected it. You would have confirmed really when you actually went under and you confirmed a full 3 hours under this green line. You fell all the way down. Let's just say 8,350 because that's where you got your confirmation. And we went down to about 7,500. Well, guess what, guys? If we zoom out here, we take our indicator off, look what's down here. You have touch points over here as resistance. Some more touch points down here as resistance. The more touch points, as you can see, the more valid the line is. What do you know? That was the chance to cover. So if you shorted, you generally, when you're shorting, I generally like to put my, my take profits above support. So, let's just say if you disregard this price action, let's just pretend it's over here. You rejected. There's a lot of times where you'll get real close to it and then you'll round up. You want to make sure you get filled. So if it's at like 7,500, our support, I mean, since you shorted in the 8,000s above, you popped the short indicator at 8.6, but you didn't confirm until 8,350. It's not a bad idea to put it $50 to $100 above major support. So you make sure you get filled. So I'm hoping by our stream tonight I will have my new mouse. Fingers crossed. All right. So we had our call. This was our call right here. You hit bounced off support multiple times. This was your signal to cover. And what do you know? We popped up. We broke this red line. This is our 3 hour, by the way. And you can see on this call, these are the ones I like the most. It's the line is actually pointed right into the red line. So this was your confirmation to go over. You popped your buy signal right on top of that line. So you would have according to this indicator, you would have longed at about 8,050. Let's just call it 8,000. Came up. Now, this move is a little bit harder to call because this was the parabolic run. So this is really up to you. You can see here how we did pop some resistance here at around 11,000. So you could have sold here, but we ultimately went all the way up to, my gosh, what is it, 13,000? No, 14,000. So you popped a buy signal at about 8,050, 8,000. You went all the way up to 14,000. I would hope you would have sold somewhere above 10,000. When you go parabolic, there's really no telling. It's hard to make supports when it's like that. So, came back down. You popped your short signal here at 12,090, but you didn't actually confirm it until about 11,300. When you see an instance like this, where your arrow and there's a separation between your confirmation line and your long or short indicator, because it can be the opposite. It can be just like this too. This is like where an area you would want to DCA. Somewhere in here, you would want to DCA, which is, if you don't know, it's dollar cost average, or what's another word you could say? Let's just call it DCA for now, guys. So you popped your short here at about 12,060. You didn't confirm until about 11,300. You generally would want to, start sprinkling in positions here until you get to this line. And you can see here, we ultimately We went right back up to roughly where our short indicator was, but, no need to panic. So our short went off at about 12,000. We didn't confirm until about 11,300, and we hit a bottom of about 9,000. Let's just call it 9,700. If we take our price indicator tool or our price range tool, make sure we're on the right one. No, we're on long. There you go. Let's just go from our confirmation. We had roughly about a 15% drop. Very nice. So even if you had a low leverage position of 2 or 3x, you're looking at a, 30 to 45% gain on that. So, next move. These are the ones I like the best. You can see here, our arrow is in a very close proximity, and this was honestly one of our smaller gains. So, what do you do in a situation like this? Well, it's where you're going to bring your support and your resistances into play. We now have a little bit of idea of what our price range is going to be. So, you can see here how we built resistance. When you're longing or shorting, generally it's a good idea if you're longing to cover or to take profit before resistance or right at resistance, and if you're shorting, you want to cover or take profit before the support. You want to make sure you get filled. You can see you have your touch points here. You had a few crazy wicks, but you have a touch point there. What inevitably was our touch point on our call. You can see it acted as support through here. And yeah, I guess we haven't made it that high yet again, not for a while. So you popped your long signal at roughly 11,275. So you see there's a little bit of a spread here between your long and your confirmation. Once again, you would have dollar cost average right in there. So you're going up, and you see here, even if you were to put it even up in, a little bit higher, but you can see all these touch points. It's not as consistent though. This was one of the smaller gains. But if you take our indicator, it went from roughly 11,250, 11,300 where we popped it, but we did not confirm until about 11,600. We ultimately made a high of just about 12,100. So you had about a $500 gain here. It's kind of funny that that's one of the worst gains we had. But you can see here, we went up about $500. We dipped, but we did not break our line here. So if you would have held through this dip, you could have even sold here and made a $400 or $500 gain. But if you held, because if you look at your indicators here, there theoretically was no reason to panic here. This is why we teach TA. So when you're in a situation like this, well, what do? We're below my buy line. If we use, this is our regular MACD, guys. You can see here, we have a bullish divergence here. All right. We went to the upside. We made some bearish momentum. Well, guess what? No need to panic because look at your MACD again. You made another. Look at it closer. You made another bullish divergence. And so what ended up happening? We had a little dip, which was lower in bearish momentum. We ended up making a high of 13,300 from our entry, where we popped long at 11,200. We confirmed at about 11,006, and we ultimately made a high of about 13,250. So what would have been your indicator on this? What would you have done to say, hey, I should probably start taking profit? This is what you do. You look at your bullish momentum and you take your indicator, you take your trend line. What do you see here? We talk about this every day, guys. You're showing a lower level of bullish momentum. And where was that at? Darn near. I mean, you could have even taken profit at 12.8 here. But do you see what I'm kind of getting at, guys? You can use support and resistances. And when, let's just say it starts dipping past your number, or maybe where you started DCing or you entered, look at your MACD. There's no reason to panic sell if you're confident. You should always be confident in your trade and your skills when you're entering. You don't have to blindly be in a position all the time or panic sell, because think about the people panic sold through this, that bought up through here, or even maybe somewhere in here before our indicator popped to just barely dip and then go back, back up about, $1,000, $1,500. Use technical analysis to confirm your calls. Just like Market Cipher, don't blindly just follow a call like, oh, we're short, oh, we're long. Use technical analysis. When you can use your TA to confirm your indicators, you're just that much more set up for success. But you can see here, we had our indicator. You could have even sold on this $500 dip and then re-entered after you saw that we were showing. So you could have actually maybe even had 2 calls on this, 2 plays. You sold, you made your, $300, $400, $500 jump here. We had our dip. You saw like, oh my gosh, we're showing lower levels of bearish momentum. I'm going to start longing again. It doesn't even matter if you logged anywhere or even if you went right back in your same position up here. You still made, $1,000 jump. Use technical analysis, guys. Don't just follow calls blindly. So, we had this nice jump. Let's go to our next signal. You can see this line is almost directly popping into our confirmation line. So, we go here. We popped a short at 12,080, 12,050. We did not confirm that until about 11,900, 11,880. You can see it here. And what do you see? What do you see on the chart? What's the first thing that sticks out, guys? Lower levels of bearish or bullish momentum. And then you even got, so we initially fell. We went down further. Oh, well, do I sell now? Do I take profit? Well, you definitely could. You're up money. But guess what? You're showing lower levels of bullish momentum. I think I'm going to keep holding. The TA is showing the bulls are running out of strength. If we pop this up, you can see it here. You even made a lower low from this one. So you could have taken profit. You can't lose money taking profit. So you're holding your short. Let's just use our confirmation at 11,850 right in here. Okay. We dumped to about, let's just say 11,000. So you roughly went down $900. Easily could have taken profit, but guess what? Let's say you wanted to extend those gains a little more. You went to the upside, you showed much lower levels of bullish momentum right here. Boom, the bottom just dropped. You just entered a short at 11,900 and we hit a bottom of 9,094. Let's use our price. Let's use our percentage indicator here. 24%. 24%, guys. Amazing stuff. So, you cashed out, right? You're in profit. What's our next call going to be? This is it's kind of funny. This is the smallest one out of all of them, out of pretty much all the calls we've had. So, you threw your long. You threw it at roughly at about 11,550. We didn't confirm it until about, see, this line's a little big. I don't recommend, I have this bigger than usual, just so, because I'm showing you guys. But I know this just because we've talked about it so much on stream. This actual indicator, it popped long at 10.6. This line's just really big right now. So we popped long at 10.6. And we went all the way up to about 11,150. You're looking at about a $500 gain. And what do you see here? What would have told you to sell there? Well, guess what? You have your resistance line. It was support here. It was support here. We're on the 3 hour, so the touch points aren't going to be as accurate. Because I usually, when I'm looking at touch points, I use the 4 hour and the daily. But you can see here, where did we go? We rejected this resistance line. This would have been your indicator to sell. This would have been your indicator to sell here. And if we look at our MACD, let's see here. If you look at your MACD as well, it's not as perfect. If we actually pull this up, you can actually show we were showing slight bullish divergence, but it was just very slight. So our worst call was literally about a $500 gain, $400 or $500 gain. Very nice, right? That's the worst call this 3 hours had. Let's go to our next call. This was the one we just talked about. So you could have definitely actually maybe entered this earlier, because if you use your MACD, you would have noticed here after you took your profit, you showed a much lower level of bullish of bullish momentum. So you could have, just TA wise, I would have taken a short here. Once you got the call right here, when you're like, all right, we're rounding this sucker off, this is where you would have wanted to short. Okay, we fell down. Our short indicator popped off at about $10,000, and we confirmed at about 9,950, right in here. So you popped your short, even though you were showing much lower levels of bullish momentum up here. So TA wise, you could have probably just taken a short up here, but we're talking about our indicator now. So you popped short at 9,950. You went up, and you're like, oh my gosh, well, do I panic sell? Like, do I cover? I'm getting close to my entry. Nope. You want to use your anchor point. And what do you know? You're still showing lower levels. And then guess what? You can even pull this over here. Guess what? Another lower level. So even when this is rising, don't just be like, oh my God, I'm about to break even though you could have down here. You could have easily. You can see our support line, our support box that we have right here. Where did you jump? Where did you bounce off of? So you could have easily made a $500 profit here. Easy. And then on the rise, you're like, oh my gosh, well, do I sell? Nope, it's still lower. You take a little dip again. Well, do I sell again? No, it's even lower. And then boom, the bottom dropped all the way to 9,300. $700 drop. $700. Use technical analysis in your support box. More specifically, use your supports, your resistances, and your MACD to help you sell. All right, our next call. You popped your long at about 9,800. We confirmed at about 9,000, let's just call it 9,025, 9,920, somewhere in here. Yeah, the margin of here, it was pretty close. So, you popped your long. Let's get here, just fixing my MACD real quick. So you popped your long, right? You kept rising. You kept rising. Well, guess what? What are we up against again, guys? Our good old resistance line that we were talking about on our prior calls, right back through here. You went back up. You hit it. You actually had a couple wicks above it, but do you see these consistent lines? This would have been your indication to sell. You hit your resistance line. So you inevitably, you went long at 9,920. But where'd we go up to? $12,000. So you're looking at roughly 100. You're looking at roughly over a $2,000 rise through here. Good stuff. It really is amazing. So you made your $2,000 rise from here. You saw that we hit our resistance. This is where you really wanted to take your profit. And you could have even taken profit at your first level of resistance up through here. Which, I mean, my gosh, you're still looking at a $1,000 rise. This is $11,000. You're still looking at a $1,000 rise. So our next call, we went short at 11,350. You confirmed at about 11,250. You can see right in here. The arrow's almost pointed directly at it. All right. Just trying to see here. All right, you can see it here. So what was another indicator? I'll let it, I'll let this sit here for a second. What was your indicator here? It's going to be in this area. What do you see on here? You popped short. Think about it for a second, guys. What do you see here? Much lower level of bullish momentum. Much lower. And if you take your indicator, look where you're at, guys. Look where you're at. Showed a lower level of bullish momentum. You popped your short. You now have two great indicators. The MACD has been around since stock market trading's been, it's been around for a long time. So you popped your short. Your MACD's pointing short. You enter your short at 11,250. The bottom drops. And you can see here with this little right shoulder, you even got a confirmation that the bullish or bearish momentum is building. So you went from 11,250 all the way down to 9,500. You're looking at roughly about a 15% drop here in a matter of a week, 5 days. If you used a low leverage 2-3% or 2-3x, you're looking at 30 to 45% gains. So our next call, this is, these are the one we showed earlier, and this were the two smallest plays. So you popped short, long, pretty much right at this confirmation line, which was at about 10,700. And we went up, and it looks like we rejected 11,000. So you went up roughly about $300. A $300 jump. That's the worst call this thing's had. What was your cue to sell? Guess what? It's our good old resistance line. Use resistances and support to take profit. Put them slightly above it. You rejected this line, and you can see we inevitably kept falling. You had a $300 profit here. So this is our final. Well, I guess we have two more calls left. So this is the one we've been talking about all week. So you popped short at 10.6, but do you see the spread through here from this in your confirmation line? This is where you would want to dollar cost average in, typically. So you popped short at 10.6. You didn't confirm until about 10,250. What happened? Well, we dropped all the way down to 9,750, and you went up. And you're like, "Oh gosh, well, what do I do?" You know, I'm about to break even. Well, you could have definitely taken profit here, and you would have made roughly about $400-500. But once again, let technical analysis guide you, to kind of calm the FOMO, the scaredness. You have to have a trade plan. You can see here that we showed the line's a little thick. Let's see here. There you go. Mouse is acting a little wigged up. But you can see here, we showed a lower level of bullish momentum here, and you kept falling. But guess what? Even if you didn't take profit here or down here, where are you at? You're in your support box. This is where you would want to take profit at. So even if you sold at like 9,800, right at the bottom of this box, you still made at least a $500 profit. If you started DCAing at 10.6, you're looking at an $800 gain right here. So this is our most recent, and that's the thing. Even if you held through all of this and you never took profit, what are you seeing here again? Lower levels of bullish momentum. And you could have went all the way back down to 9,300. You've just now made a $1,000 gain, or even 1,300 if you started DCAing at the arrow. And what do you know? At your support box. I can't emphasize this enough. Use your MACD and learn how to do support and resistances. I try to go over this multiple times in our streams. So this is our most recent call. We talked about this yesterday. We popped long at about 9,750. It didn't confirm until about 8,000 or 9,825. So you popped long at about, let's just call it 9,800, and you didn't confirm until about 9,820. You went up. Well, how do you know how high you're going to go up? Look at your MACD. When you saw this, I'm going to pull this up real quick. When you saw this right in here, we're building. We are now officially higher than this. This really was your indicator to get in. Not only did you pop long, but now you have your indicators confirming each other. So you entered at 9,820, and our current price, we hit a high of about 10,800, just under it. And you could have even taken profit at this resistance line at about 10,000, 450, 10,500. You're still looking at a $700 gain. So I'm going to separate, I was going to do all these tutorials in one, but I'm going to separate each hourly indicator, well, with each indicator and its hour, because I really want this to be a full in-depth. I don't want to rush through these things. So this is the V1 3 hour. So key things to remember: use your MACD. If you have Market Cipher, use your blue wave. Let it help you confirm your calls. When you're trying to look for places to cover when you're shorting, look at your MACD, see if you're building or losing momentum, and use your support boxes. If you see support, if you shorted at 11,000 and you see giant support at 10,000, I would be putting my gosh, you're already up $900. Put your take profit at 10,050, 10,100. Is it really worth missing out on $50 worth of gains when you're up $900 plus? Don't control, curb the FOMO and control the greed. This is a game, guys, and the winners are the people that can stick around the longest. So when you're covering, use your support boxes, put them slightly above it. If you're longing, cover or take profit before you get to that resistance box. If you long at 9,008 and you see a ton of resistance at 10.6, put that sucker at 10.5, 10.50. It's not worth missing out on giant gains because you're trying to squeeze out an extra 2%. Don't use percentages as a place to take profit. I'm telling you, you will lose in the long run. I've seen so many people, oh, well, I got to make 10%, and it's sitting at 9.5%. And then it ends up tanking. They're like, oh, well, I was really trying to squeeze out that 0.5%. It's not worth it. Use your support and your resistances to take profit. And whether you're trying to continue your trade, like trying to squeeze more out, or trying to see if if it's a good idea that the trend's reversing, look at your MACD or your blue wave if you're on Market Cipher. So, this is the tutorial for the V1 3 hour. If you have any questions, hit up me or Jubin on Discord. If you do purchase this through the website, which will be in the link below, you get you get all of the night supporters, the benefits, but you get one-on-one mentoring. We will help you learn this specifically with whatever questions you have. So I hope this tutorial answered any of your questions. If you have any more, don't hesitate to let us know. We're here to help you guys. And I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you very much.